Welcome to Nailed It, a podcast featuring business tips from industry leaders, presented by Clever Punch. Here's your host, Jade Flogersy.
All right, welcome to Nailed It, where we discuss business tips from industry leaders. Today, we're thrilled to have Josh Preiser. He is the CEO of Sidcon Enterprises and also the VP of Digital Marketing at Zero Company, joining us today on the show. Josh has over 2 decades of experience in digital marketing, and he's been helping businesses grow to their full potential since 2002. At Sidcon, he leads a talented team of 6 based in Dana Point, California, and they specialize in Google Ads and SEO management. And at Zero Company, Josh oversees over $1 million in annual ad spend, mastering Google, Bing, Facebook, and programmatic advertising. His passion for helping businesses thrives and shines through in his strategic approach to PPC, blending both science and art to deliver exceptional results. And when he's not crafting marketing strategies, Josh enjoys spending time with his wife and 2 kids and their 3 dogs. He's a dedicated Dodgers fan and also volunteers as a Little League and high school baseball umpire. So we're excited to dive in, talk with you more, and learn about your journey and your great insights that you're going to help us specifically with Google Ads. So welcome to the show, Josh.
Oh, thanks for having me.
So you help business owners. First, is there any industries specifically that you specialize in?
Yeah, I would say there's a couple that jump at me. I would say that typically we work mostly with home services, and then also another niche that would be pretty heavy in would be anything in the financial industry, financial services. I know those seem very disparate, and that's true. Really, I would say any lead-based business, any service-based business, we're probably going to do really well. And, the fact that we are in those 2 niches probably is more due to referrals than anything else. We'll take most lead-based services are going to work well, and those 2 have just kind of grown the most on us.
Is there a reason that Google Ads is a good fit for, say, home-based services, for example, for that industry?
Yeah, I think so. I think, again, for PPC to be successful, you need to have people are looking for that service, and people often go to Google to look for a home service. So I think that is why that's usually a good spot for people. And again, the other side to make a PPC campaign effective is you have to be able to calculate a profitable cost per lead or cost per conversion. And that's usually pretty easy to do with a home service.
Great. So I'm excited to dive in. We're going to be digging into Google Ads today, talking to you as an expert. What is an ad? How much should you spend? Who's a good candidate? Should you work with a Google Ads manager? Should you hire a rep? Now, the reason that we're talking, why I wanted to have Josh on the show, is because he is our go-to for Google Ads management. I searched high and low, talking to different people, and I had a really hard time finding somebody that could just communicate in simple terms what kind of strategy made sense, what I was paying for. And then thankfully I was introduced to Josh. And Josh, you always have great communication skills. You have a way of taking something that can be very complicated and breaking it down into small bite-sized pieces for people like me, business owners, where this isn't their expertise. So I'm very excited to dig into this. But before we get to all those questions, let's start by clarifying, because I have a lot of people that are like, I don't get this. I'm not good at this. They get scared that they're going to use the wrong words. So just so that we're all on the same page, let's start with, what are we talking about? What is a Google ad?
Sure. So Google Ads are what show at usually the top of the search results. You'll see they'll often say sponsored. And what we're talking about is also known as pay per click or PPC. And the way it works is we give Google the exact keywords that we want to show up on, the exact ad copy that we want to have as our messaging, and then we enter an auction. There's lots of other elements to that auction, but then if we win the auction, we show up in those Google Ads, which are at the top of the search results for the keywords we wanted with the ad copy that we wanted and the messaging we want to display. You don't pay to show up, but you do pay if someone clicks on the ad, thus pay per click. So you're paying for that traffic that goes to your website.
Beautiful. Perfect. Simple, clear. Love it. Before we get into more about Google Ads, a lot of clients that I talk to, business owners that I talk to, their first question is SEO or Google Ads. They get lumped together a lot of times, or they get kind of pitted against each other. How would you answer that question?
Yeah, I know it's a good question, and it's fair. You're right. People often confuse them or conflate them, but oftentimes I get people talking to me and they're using the word SEO, but they mean PPC or vice versa. So let's talk about some of the differences. With SEO, it's very much a long-term game. The best analogy I've ever heard describing SEO is, picture you have a giant boulder, 1,000-pound boulder, and it's sitting on a long, flat street. And so you run with all of your might and you run up against it and you try and push it and it moves an inch. And then you put in that same effort and it moves 3 inches, 6 inches. Eventually, it'll start rolling. It starts moving. And eventually that same push that originally you only got an inch out of, you're getting a couple hundred yards out of that same exact effort. That's SEO in a nutshell. It's going to take us 6, 9, maybe 12 months to really start to see real ROI. We're going to put in, though, that grunt work, that same amount of work every month, and it's just going to escalate and escalate and escalate and escalate. It's extremely rare. I think our retention rate after an SEO client has been with us a year is well over 95%, because at that point, the ROI is so apparent that you go, oh, I would never give this up. But it takes a long time to get there. It's much less expensive to start, but it's going to be a while before you see the value. And what you're trying to do with SEO is give Google signals that will get Google to put you in the organic listings, the stuff right below the pay-per-click listings. So you're not paying for the traffic, but you're paying for the work it takes for the agency to get you to show up there. Now, contrast that with pay-per-click. With pay-per-click, we have a lot more control. I mentioned we pick the keywords, we pick the ad copy. Everything is super trackable. So we can see, well, this keyword or this ad copy at this time of day in this location with this demographic resulted in a lead. We can track every single step along the journey there. And because we're paying Google, we get a lot more data. And it also means that we get results a lot faster. Typically speaking, you flip a switch and you're suddenly at the top of the Google search results. Whereas with SEO, it might take us 6, 9 months to get there. With pay-per-click, we're there right away. You should really start seeing results. I'm not saying you're necessarily profitable, but you're definitely seeing results within a week or two. And by the end of month 1, you really should have a feel for, okay, do we have a path here to profitability? Or do we need to make adjustments, et cetera? So it's more expensive to start because now you have 2 costs. You don't just have the cost you're paying the agency. You have that, but your bigger cost is your ad budget that you're actually paying straight to Google. So it's a little more expensive, but you do get those results much faster, and it is very trackable. So you can see right away what's working and what isn't.
So that being said, when a business owner comes to you, they are looking for leads. They're looking to invest in their marketing strategy. What do you recommend, or what do they need to ask themselves to decide between Google Ads and SEO?
Now, good question. So first thing is I want to know more about their business. I want to know more about their goals and what's their average revenue per sale. What does their website look like? If I look at the website and I go, oh, this is not going to convert well, well, then pay-per-click is definitely not where I'm going to recommend they spend their money, because we're paying to get people to the website. If the website isn't going to convert, you'd be better off putting that budget towards building out a better website first and then coming back to revisit pay-per-click. And someone tells me, well, we're in the middle of a website redesign. Okay, well, maybe we look at SEO then, because by the time you're done with your design, we're 4 or 5 months into our campaign. We're going to be starting to get you traffic. So it's going to depend on the business. It's going to depend on their budget. It's going to depend on how fast they need or want results. So all of those factors go into our recommendations.
Another great tip that you gave me one time was, if the client or if the business knows the type of copy or the type of campaigns that converts, if they feel confident in those keywords that they're trying to target, whether it's the location that they serve, the services that they have, or maybe individual like markers about the type of people that they're trying to appeal to that would be searching. If they're confident in those keywords, then they can go into an SEO strategy and play the long game and look for that payoff long term. But what we see all too often is people feel confident about SEO. They put 6, 12 months into it only to learn that that's not what their target audience is searching for, or the traffic volume is not there, fishing in a pond that's too small. Whereas if they invested in Google Ads first, they would be able to quickly, yes, it's a higher cost to get into it, but very quickly within a month, like you said, a month or 2 months, they're learning if the traffic's there, if it's a worthwhile investment.
No, that's a great point. With SEO, you're targeting a very limited number of keywords because it's so time consuming to target even one keyword. With pay-per-click, we could target 1,000 keywords pretty easily. And there's really no major difference to us if we're targeting 50 keywords or 1,000. So we're going to get the data to determine, oh, well, what are our top 5 keywords, our top 10 keywords that we should be targeting for SEO? So yeah, that's often a smart way to go. If it's a niche we're very familiar with, I might feel more comfortable saying, well, we know the keywords. We know what you need to go after SEO wise. But if it's not, or we don't have that data, yeah, you're going to get that data from pay-per-click very quickly.
The other thing I love looking at when someone's deciding which direction to go to and we're doing some digging and research, I love seeing the competition. I think a lot of business owners would be surprised still how low the competition might be in their industry. I've seen that in real estate. I've seen that with general contractors. A lot of times people want to go for SEO, but the reality is they could be at the top of the list overnight because that competition's so low. Their competitors in their town or in their city aren't spending money on that marketing initiative. And so there's a lot of opportunity there.
Yeah, or even if they are spending money, sometimes we realize pretty quickly, oh, they're not spending it wisely. Honestly, when I'm looking at a potential pay-per-click campaign, I want to see some competition, because if there's nobody out there doing it, the odds that I'm the first person that thought of doing this in this market is pretty slim at this point. So probably if there's nobody doing it, it probably doesn't work in that market for that business, or no one at least has figured out how to make it work. When I see 1 or 2 or 3 other competitors in that market, in that industry, I go, oh, this is great, because they're not spending money unless it's working. And I know, not to toot our own horn too much, but I know we're really good at this. And so I know that, oh, if someone else is making it work, we're going to be able to make it work, probably make it better, and be able to beat out the competition. So seeing a little bit of competition in pay-per-click is usually a good thing for me.
Interesting. So if somebody does decide, okay, I want to go down this route, invest in Google Ads, could you recommend that they do it themselves? Or what type of person would you say, yeah, you know what, I'm confident, I think you can manage this yourself? Does that ever happen? Or is in pretty much all cases, are you like, hey, leave it to the experts?
Yeah. There used to be a time when I would say, oh yeah, a friend would reach out or something. I go, oh, you know what, set it up yourself. I'll give you some tips, and you could start and kind of do this yourself and figure it out. Honestly, I think those days are probably behind us. There's just so many options within a Google Ads account. It's really tough to do it well and succeed. There's even so many default options that are automatically turned on that are really designed to make Google money and not make you money. And even the recommendations from a Google rep, a lot of times, like, no, those are horrible recommendations. Don't do that. You're wasting 15% of your budget, which could be the difference between profitable and not profitable for sure. So yeah, I would say in 99% of cases anymore, you're going to save a lot more money by hiring someone to do it for you.
I'm glad you brought up Google Reps, because I've had a lot of questions recently of people either saying that they're working with a rep and they're really excited because I believe it's a free service. Is there a limit? Like, do you have to reach a budget and then you're assigned a Google Rep?
It depends. It often seems somewhat random to me. I have a brand new client that just launched a week ago and already have a Google rep reaching out. Not because we're an agency, even just because, they saw this new account. They saw what the budget was, and the budget wasn't large, maybe $1,000 a month, and they got assigned. Now, that said, I honestly won't even take the meeting with the rep, because the way the Google support is set up right now, and it changed about 2.5 years ago, but the way it's set up right now is the base tier of reps has all been outsourced, and you're getting reps that, when I talk to my higher level reps, even they will kind of laugh sometimes and go, well, yeah, don't ever talk to them. They don't know what they're talking about, because Google literally gives them a list of about 10 things and 10 recommendations that they're allowed to make. And I would say 9 out of 10 of those are not going to help you. They're really designed to make it look like you can kind of set it and forget it and make it look like it's simple to manage. But there's not the transparency, there's not the control. So you're losing a lot of that budget to traffic sources that just don't make sense for the average business, unfortunately. I know people get excited when, Google's reaching out to me. Google is going to help me. And it's like, they're really not. The recommendations that are offering are not going to help your business, unfortunately. I don't think that even the Google reps have ill intent, but I think the tools that those lower level reps are given just aren't the tools that you need to succeed in a pay-per-click campaign.
Super interesting. So if somebody's going to invest in Google Ads, what are your thoughts on a budget? You talked already about if you have an agency or a Google Ad manager helping you, not a rep, but a professional, they're going to have their monthly cost to manage your campaigns, optimize them, give recommendations. So you have that cost. But then what about the ad spend? How do you help people and recommend a budget for business owners?
Yeah, again, it's going to depend on some of the elements in your business. We really want to dive in and figure out what's your average revenue per sale, ideally even what's your lifetime value of a customer, what's your average annual value for a customer, and then figure out, okay, once we know those numbers, what's a reasonable amount to spend to get a new customer? And for every business, that's different, right? Some say, well, I'm totally happy losing money on the first time I engage with this customer because I know our business model. I'm going to engage with them 6 more times over the course of the next 12 months. Okay, great. Others say, no, it's a one-off sale. I need to have 90% margin on my first initial interaction. I can afford to spend 10% of my initial order value to land that customer. That's very different, 10 to 100%. So that's going to make a difference. We're also going to look at the amount of traffic in the location that we're covering. Are we covering the entire United States? Are we covering your city? Are we covering your state? Are we covering your county? So that's all going to play a role in a recommended budget. I would typically say the smallest budget I've ever seen effective on Google Ads would probably be in the $500 to $1,000 range. And then it really just goes up from there. But be honest and upfront about what you're comfortable spending. Don't think, well, I'm probably okay spending $2,000. I'm going to tell them, we'll stretch and go $2,500 or $3,000 or whatever. No, be honest about what your budget is, and your agency should work within that. Even if that's saying, okay, well, based on that budget, we should probably have a narrower geo target to start with. Let's be more focused on this, or let's not go after all 6 of the services you provide. Let's focus on 2 of them. Let's be a little more focused. Make sure that we're going to hit our targets, and then we can expand. Because that's a beautiful thing about pay-per-click, and one of the things I love about it, it's so scalable. So don't blow through a ton of money at the beginning. Use that money, use that budget. I always say at the beginning, we're buying data. We're not really even on initial launch, we're not going, hey, sweet, we're going to be retiring in a month. This is going to be fantastic. No, we're buying data. We're figuring out what works, throwing out what doesn't, getting that cost per lead or that cost per conversion down to where we need it to be profitable. And then once we're there, then we scale. And you scale a little at a time. You go, okay, well, let's increase our budget by 25, 50, 100%, but never more than 100%. And then watch for the next 4, 6, 8 weeks Have we held our cost per lead? Have we held our cost per conversion? Yes. Okay, then we can afford to scale again. That's the fun part. And honestly, it doesn't even matter the level to me. It's watching and helping a business grow. That's the fun part. I have a client that probably started out spending $30,000 a month who now spends over $250,000 a month. I have a client that is probably started at $500 a month who now spends $10,000 a month, $10 or $12,000 a month. Both of those are exciting, because you're seeing that growth, and you're knowing that growth for most people, honestly, is often life-changing.
I love your honesty, first of all. That was another point of difference when I'm trying to find somebody to help me understand and someone to work with and align with. But I also love how much you enjoy the strategy part of it. And like you said, the part about buying data in the beginning, that's huge. You're getting the value of the potential leads. But I can say from my own experience too, having 1.5 or 2 years worth of Google Ads data, meaning we know the location that clicks are coming from, we know the campaigns that were the most compelling, and we know, when I say campaigns, like you said, it's keywords. Which services are they interested in? Most business owners offer multiple services. So getting to see the psychology between your potential client and how they use the internet to find you and what is compelling for them. Anyways, my point is to take that, we were able to then rebuild our website in a strategic way based on data versus like a gut feeling or an emotional feeling. I think we should just stay in Santa Barbara, or I think we should go national, or I think we should focus on, website and graphic design. Turns out from all this data, people are typing in marketing for, and then the industry. So that's really fun for me too. And I love that that's a huge part of how you help people and what you look at to be able to help them. So my next question is, someone asked me about this recently. It used to be called Google AdWords. Now it's just Google Ads. They shortened it. There's also been Google local service ads. What is that? Is it different? Should business owners be paying attention to that?
Yeah, they should. It is a newer service from Google. It is separate from traditional Google Ads. I will say too, even Google Ads has 2 divisions. One would be, I think Google calls it smart search or something like that, because it's all AI based, and it is designed to be where the end user is managing it themselves, not with an agency. Again, I would not recommend that option because you don't have any transparency. Google's kind of running everything behind the scenes and not always to your benefit. Then they have the second option, which is, gives us the full control over an account. Local services ads, they're only available in specific niches, plumbers, electricians, lawyers. There's a few different services where Google allows you to run a local services ad. And whether they're going to work in your industry or in your location will depend on a few different factors. Those are the ones, sometimes you see that little green check mark. It says Google guaranteed. Those are local services ads. And when you run those ads, you submitted paperwork to Google to show that, hey, we are licensed, we are bonded. That's how you get that little Google guaranteed check. And it's different than Google Ads, which is pay per click. With local services ads, it's pay per lead. It can be very effective. There are definitely nuances there that are a little trickier sometimes to navigate. And there's things that you can look at to determine, hey, will this work in my industry, in my area, et cetera. That cost per lead can be very cost effective. It also can be very expensive. You also have to be very quick about your response rate. So that's another key factor there. If I remember correctly, Google charges more for a lead when you don't pick up the phone. They want to be sending people to someone immediately. So if you pick up the phone, which is obviously more valuable to you than anyways, you actually pay less. So if you're not good about, or if you're constantly so busy, calls are going to voicemail, that's not going to work as well for you. So there's definitely a lot of factors there. That would be an area possibly where you could possibly run it yourself. I would say a local service ad would be an area where maybe you could run it yourself rather than from an agency. But it really just depends. If you try it, for example, and it doesn't work, doesn't mean it won't work. That would definitely be a time to then reach out to an agency and say, hey, can you check this out? Could you make this work? And hopefully if you have an honest contact, they'd be able to show you, oh, in your industry, no, it's not going to work in your area. Or yes, I think we could make this work.
If someone invests in Google Ads, and is the pay-per-click always going to a website?
Pay-per-click always going to a website? That's a good question. There are actually Google app ads. So if you have an app that you want to promote, you can run an ad that takes you to either download the app or takes you to a deep link within the app already on your phone to encourage re-engagement with that app. So there's those types of ads as well. But in general, it's going to take you to a website.
So then I would love to hear your top recommendations on what people should have on their website if they're going to be paying for Google Ads. If you're going to pay for Google Ads, that means somebody's clicking to your website. So what do you look for to feel confident that they're going to have a website that converts?
I see that's often missing is a phone number at the top of every web page. Don't make people click the contact button to find how to contact. Make it obvious on every single page. And I even have some people, sometimes people are running businesses. They go, well, I'm running this part-time. I don't necessarily want a lot of phone calls. I want to deal with people online through forums, etc. That's fine. But just having the number there projects some confidence for the user that, oh, this is a real company. I'm going to be able to get a hold of them if I need to. So I'll always recommend, even if you go, well, it's going to go to voicemail, fine, have a number there that people can reach out to you at any given moment. That really makes a difference in conversion rates. Even for contact form conversion rates increase as soon as we put a phone number at the top of the page. So that would be one thing. Other things I'm looking for navigable structure, something that's easy to see the flow of where we want users to go. I'm looking for, do we have a contact form on there that is hopefully short? There's times when there's validity to a longer contact form, but it's pretty rare. Do we have things like testimonials? Do we have it very obvious what your services are? Different things like that. So think about if you were going to your website, would it be very clear right away that I am on the page that gets me the information I need? You know how fast it takes for someone to just click the back button. You don't take a lot of time. You look and you go, wait, is this what no, I'm lost. Forget it. I'm gonna go somewhere else. So I'm looking for those kind of things.
It seems so simple to say, make sure that your website clearly conveys the services that you've offered. But I'm sure you'd agree, in my experience, I can't believe how many websites are unclear or very vague. I don't know if it's a disconnect when someone goes to build their website. Maybe they're working on the copy or the verbiage themselves, or maybe the web developer said, hey, tell us what to put, what text to put in these sections. But a lot of people, maybe because they're in it and every day they're too in the weeds, the services are not clear. They're not straightforward what it is that you offer. So that's a great tip. I wanted to take a second.
You're right. I want to just tag that for a second. If you're building a website and you think, oh, well, I'm not ready for a marketing person because the website's being built, I would argue that's not true. Reach out to someone that can help guide the website development in that process so you don't end up, I can't tell you how many times, Jade, I'm sure you've seen it too, beautiful website. You go, oh my goodness, this is stunning. What do? Well, I don't understand. And so a web developer, the creative side often looks at things different than the marketer will. And you need to meld those two things so that you end up with a beautiful website that also conveys what you do and is going to work for your marketing side. So have your marketing team involved in the development of the website because they're going to see things go, oh, maybe don't do that, or maybe you should do this instead, or you're going to get those little insights that, if I know we're going to work together down the road, I'm usually happy to help.
For sure. Can we take couple minutes just to touch on retargeting?
Sure.
It's one of my favorite aspects of pay-per-click or Google Ads, and it's something that you do. Do you mind just sharing what is retargeting? How does it work? And if you can read my mind, like, why do we love it so much?
Yeah. So it's usually your most or one of your most cost-effective campaigns. And the reason is and when you explain how it works, it makes perfect sense why it would be that way. So with remarketing or retargeting, whatever you want to call it, what you're doing is when someone comes to your website, no matter how they get there, you're placing a pixel on their device, a cookie on their device that says, hey, they've been here. Now what you're doing is targeting the people who have already been to your website. So let's say, for example, let's take a plumber. Someone's searching for plumber, and they do a search, and now let's take a different industry. Usually a plumber you're probably going to act on pretty quick, right? If I need a plumber today, I need a plumber today. But there are industries where retargeting doesn't work as well, and actually plumbing is one of them because of that. Let's take something like you're looking for new window shades for your house, right? Okay, that's something you might take your time. So you go to a website, you type in window shades. You go to a website, you're browsing through everything, and you're going, wow, those are beautiful. Okay, that's interesting. Oh, I didn't know that was an option. Okay, good. Yeah, I'm not ready to pull the trigger. I'm not ready to talk to anyone just yet. I'm still shopping and looking around. Okay, great. Now we can start serving you ads for that specific site that are display ads when you visit other websites. You're not on Google anymore. Now you're on wherever you are, you're going to start seeing, we've all seen it, where these ads suddenly start following us. And that's what it is. It's retargeting. And again, the fun part about this and the reason they're so cost effective is you don't pay a dime for those ads to show up. You only pay if the user clicks on them and comes back to the site. So what do you think the conversion rate is on an ad like that? If they've already are familiar with you and then they click on an ad and come back to the site, odds are they're a lot further down that sales funnel and they're a lot closer to wanting to actually reach out and contact you. It's an almost free branding campaign. At the very least, you're out there visible to them in front of their face all the time. And then when they do click, it's a very low cost per conversion because you didn't pay a lot for that click. Maybe they clicked on it twice. Oh, great, you got a 50% conversion rate? And where else are you going to get that? So yeah, no, they're definitely a favorite type of campaign for us too.
Everyone, it's fun to decide what to do with your budget. For us, I tell you, put everything that we have available into retargeting.
Yeah.
And exactly what you said, what do we know of? I mean, this all comes down to you own a business, you're looking to maintain or grow your business, you need sales, you need leads, you need clients. So what do you want to spend your time, energy, and money on trying to attract more clients? How many things do we know of that people could do that are essentially free? Once somebody clicks on it, of course, but like you said, the conversion's so high. But until they click on it, it's literally free advertising, free brand placement. We know how much the subconscious and psychology plays into making a decision of who you're going to work with. There's so much research about how the more someone hears about you, sees branding related to you, the more trust is built. So that one, I love that one. And so many people don't take advantage of it, but that was one of the top things I would recommend for people. If they're going to pay for Google Ads, as soon as it's set up, get that list going. Get your cookies set on your website, have an expert help you to start building a list so that you can have your ads appear back to the same people that were on your website for free. That one is like just such a no-brainer. If there's no other takeaways, please use that to your benefit.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Is there anything we haven't discussed as far as free tools or tips that would help a business owner who's thinking about setting up Google Ads?
Good question. Yeah, there's probably some sources that I think are good. Google has an educational source they call their Skill Shop. So Google Skill Shop, if you do a search for that, they have courses on that are free. I always say most of our clients don't know a lot about pay-per-click or SEO, but ones that know a lot, that's great, because it's much easier to have those conversations. It's nice to be able to, educate over time so we can have more advanced conversations. So yeah, if you want to learn more about how it works, Google Skill Shop is a good spot. I will say some of the things in there are those kind of reinforcing the default settings that we go, oh, no, don't do that. So there's some of that in Google's own materials. Other third-party sources, Search Engine Watch is an excellent resource. PPC Hero and WordStream. Those are probably 3 industry sources that are really strong and put out excellent content related to really anything digital marketing related, but especially PPC and SEO.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. That's very valuable for people listening. And thank you so much for this conversation, for this episode. We covered a lot in 40 minutes. I think it's going to be so valuable to help people who are thinking about investing in Google Ads, trying to understand if they should go the Google Ads direction or the SEO direction and what the differences are and what's a better fit for them. Understanding if they should work with an expert or manage it themselves. Also talked about local search and what that is, and how much they should be spending on their budget monthly, and what they should be looking at with their website and what components are going to have a great website that's going to convert those leads into clients. So I'm so appreciative of this conversation. If somebody is interested in working with you and having you help them manage their Google Ads for their business, or would like to have a conversation about if they're a good candidate for Google Ads, how can they find you?
Yeah, probably the easiest way is to, you could certainly, our website is sidconenterprises.com, which is named after my kids, Sydney and Connor. So S as in Sam, Y, D as in dog, CON enterprises.com. You can certainly reach out to me there, and phone number, email address is there that'd be easy to reach out to me. And yeah, I'm always happy to chat.
Perfect. We'll have your website and contact info in the show notes as well. So if you're on Spotify or YouTube, you can scroll down into the show notes and see contact info for Josh Preiser. Thank you so much. I appreciate your insight so much and really enjoyed this conversation.
Thank you. I enjoyed being here. Appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Nailed It, business tips from industry leaders, brought to you by Clever Punch. Nailed It is all about connecting with people, building relationships, and helping each other. If you're interested in connecting with any of the guests on our episodes, you can find their contact info in our show notes or on the podcast page at cleverpunchco.com. You can also email info@cleverpunchco.com with any questions or feedback. I'm your host, Jade Flogersey. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time.